Hey, what's up guys? In today's episode, we're gonna continue working on the VLAND headlights. I'm gonna go ahead and do some DRL upgrades. It's gonna be some cool looking DRL upgrades. Stay tuned. So continuing on with the mods for these headlights I wanted to do, I decided to make some additional kind of like eyelid, eyelash thingies, or whatever you want to call it, eyeliner DRLs on the triple beam. I got this inspiration from Remy D. He's on Instagram. He actually was one of the early guys that had these headlights about a year ago, and he ended up using some plexiglass to make little fiber optic DRL additions on here. I looked into that, and just trying to bend the pieces was just way too difficult to get the curves and everything. You know, I don't know how Remy did it. He must have baked them or whatever to get them formable, and then he made it, you know, basically follow the curvature of this. He mounted LEDs along the edge, and it looked really cool. So I'm going to do something slightly different than his. I'm going to actually use these acrylic rods. I picked up 5 of these on Amazon. I think they were like maybe $12 or $15 for 5 of these. They're 12-inch long. I was planning on using about a 6-inch, so half of this section to do, you know, each little bend. I'm going to end up having to drill a hole in the shrouds to get the fiber optic through the hole, and then on the back side, I'm going to mount one of my surface mount LED chips that I use for my depot DRL upgrades on there. So it's going to be pretty cool. So what I need to do to form these is I need to bake them in the oven for 15 minutes for about at 270 degrees, 275 degrees for 15 minutes. And that should soften these up so they're like spaghetti. And then I have a couple minutes to get them formed. So, you know, one of the things I need to do is basically drill the horizontal hole. So that way when I get the soft rod out of the oven, I can just stick it in that hole, get that hole formed. And then I know how far I need to bend this and curve it up to follow the curvature of this. So I'll end up having, you know, the 2 right here that basically go side mount right here where I can drill a hole. The front I can't really side mount, and I don't know if I really want to go all the way to the edge. I'll see how that ends up stacking up, because the other option is coming to here and then making a 9-degree turn back to here, back into there, and then, you know, it comes out and curves up and through this to form this thing. But I'm going to see what kind of clearance I have before I decide which route I want to take. So this piece of acrylic, what I'm going to do is, before I cut it and bend it, I'm going to drill out this spot right here just to get a little indentation so that the LED head, the little dome on that LED chip, can kind of nest into there and then shine the light through the optic here. So I was able to drill this notch into the end, just enough to get the LED dome up in there. One of the things I'll probably end up doing is probably putting some clear coat, some nail polish clear coat or something in this, on this end, or kind of buff it out with some maybe 2000, get it smooth, and put a little clear coat in there just to get the clarity good. So before I mount this thing, so that way I get the most light output through this rod. So I drilled most of that hole out right there. I just got to clean it up a little. I don't want to get the drill bit in there and end up scratching the outside of the shroud too much. That hole came out pretty good there. So what I'm going to use to do the fine tuning is this drill mull I have right here. I've got a foot pedal. If you're going to do drill mull, you need a foot pedal. That way you can control the speed. I've got my little carbide diamond tip, carbide, whatever, that little metal tip on there that cuts pretty good for plastic and all that. I just have it hooked under the table right now, just kind of hanging it there, but I'm going to control it with this foot pedal for the most part so I can control the speed. Got all the holes done in here. I used that X-Acto knife right there to kind of clean up all my drills, because as you drill those out and the heat gets to it, it starts to melt and get little strands of plastic. So it came out pretty good, much better than I expected. Didn't really damage anything. So it's right now the hole is perfect. It's the 5/16 inch hole. That's what I used over here on that drill bit right there, the 5/16. So it's exactly the diameter of the rods. So I get the the next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and bake those rods and get them formed to the shape of these little eyelids here. Oh yeah, bending these rods, this is my first time ever doing this. I've only read about it and online, and haven't really watched anybody ever do this before, but not too bad for the first shot. These things, I had them in there for about 270, 275 for 5 minutes. You can't bake them for longer than 5 minutes because they start melting and they literally become spaghetti, but you only have like a minute or two to work on them once you get them out of the oven. So I had to put them back a couple times just to get it formed correctly, because once I got some of the curves in, or just getting it into this hole right here, and let's see, yeah, getting it into the hole, and then trying to get it around this bend and then make the curve. I had to basically heat it a couple times just to get this curve, but it turned out pretty good. The hardest, the two sides were the easiest. Those took like a minute or two to form. This one, I should have gone in at a wider angle and just made this not as sharp. That 90-degree turn really screws things up. So I had to work that with the heat gun, kind of get it all formed correctly and nice, and to follow the side here, the lines. But it turned out really good, a lot better than I expected for the first time attempting this. But overall, what I'm going to do is the part that goes in the hole, I'm probably have the JB weld down there on the back side to get it to hold. On the upper corner here, I'm going to have to use some fishing line. That's usually what people with like halos, little angel eye halos and stuff. That's what they end up using, like fishing line to kind of attach it. The professionals, builders. But yeah, so yeah, like even here, but yeah, the one other thing I have to do, these rods, they act like fiber optics. So what they do is they send light to the end. So in order to get it to diffuse correctly, I'm about to cut notches on the back side of these. We're gonna leave the front side clear, but then the back side, I'm gonna take a drill mole with the cutoff wheel and notch the back every, you know, quarter inch or half inch or however many we need to kind of diffuse the light and get it out. But I'll do that, you know, right after this. But overall, I like how they turned out. It's gonna look awesome once I get the LEDs in there. Actually kind of like the without the diffusing part, because the diffusing part ends up putting all these little lines in it like it's a little snake, where the undiffused is straight clear. Kind of you got some bright spots on the either side of it. Let me change the exposure a little bit so you guys see. But yes, you get the light spot, you know, right here in the corner where the entry is, and then always at the end, kind of like the fiber optic look. But yeah, so the center, it just kind of glows. It's not really a bright light. So I think I kind of like that better than trying to diffuse it. So I'm gonna try a couple other things and see how this looks. So since this piece I already cut all the notches in it, I'm gonna try one more thing. I'm gonna try to just drill mole the back side of this piece, so it's like a matte finish, to see how well that diffuses the light. I didn't really like the way that you know, with these little notches in it, when it just diffuses it in little strips, because the LED is kind of bright. So I might have to try something else too, and just do a radio LED in here instead of that high powered LED, just to see how well the radio LED illuminates this thing, if it does it evenly. Looks pretty good right there, but yeah, much better than if you use the other piece that's non-diffused. One, yeah, you can't really see it glows, but it's not as bright and pronounced. So after messing around with it some more, I think I'm just gonna keep it as a clear without the diffusing or shaving down or anything. It was too much work to try to shave it down, and then the look of it wasn't that great. If you looked up close, it looked kind of ghetto rigged. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just use it the way this is. Right now I'm gonna end up clear coating the edge of it. This is the only polish I had laying around, my wife's polish. It's got a little pink in it from painting red polish, but it shouldn't affect it once it goes onto the edge of it. And I just want to basically just gloss those in so they're not matted. But once I do that, then I'll go ahead and start wiring them or getting them permanently attached to the shrouds. I went to Walmart. I picked up some clear 5-minute epoxy to attach the back of the rods to the shroud. I picked up, instead of fishing line I was talking about, I ended up picking up some copper wire. Shout out to Retrofit Source, Matt over at Retrofit Source. I was doing some research on how to attach halo and angel eyes and whatever, and he had a video up on Retrofit Source that basically showed you how to attach it using this copper wire. It's solid core. I think there's 22 gauge. It was about $2.50 at Walmart. And then he gave some tricks about using a push pin to make your holes that you want to drill. And then after you get the push pins, then you put these tiny drill bits in, because the problem with trying to drill is these things kind of slip if you don't have a good spot to get the drill in. So I'm going to do that. You can, this wire, it actually comes in a bunch of different colors. If you want gold, green, whatever, silver, gold, green, I think black, you get in different colors. But I decided to just get silver because it kind of blends in better with the shiny stuff in here. And honestly, unless you have your headlight, your head right against the lens, you're not going to see this, especially when the lights are on. So, that's the best way to secure it to the actual shroud without it falling out while you're driving. Got all three of these babies attached. Could hardly even tell the string is there. Once I light them up, it'll be pretty sleek looking, as far as blending in and everything. So, pretty happy with it. Got everything back together. This copper wire wasn't as strong as I thought. I didn't even realize it when I saw the wire that was copper. I wasn't paying attention. It was late when I was at Walmart. But it's probably better to get like a steel wire, because this copper wire is way too soft. I broke a bunch of pieces kind of twisting them, and I didn't realize. Copper is like what you have in your regular wires. That stuff's pretty brittle and soft once you twist it too many times. But for the most part, I got it pretty much in there, twisted and tucked away at all those spots I drilled out. So next thing I gotta do is put some epoxy down on these spots. I might have to drill mold these a little bit just to get them a little bit flusher right there near the hole, so I can get the LED to sit or to lay down flush when I epoxy it down. So right now I'm going to add this little piece of wire management to get rid of that double-sided tape that they ghetto rigged on here. I think I did it on one of my other reviews. Got it all wired up, or not really wired up, but I put the DRL boards back on. I got everything buttoned up. Got my wire management all nice and clipped in. No more ghetto 3M tape like they had before. Next thing I gotta do is basically solder all these three together, and then into a single positive negative lead, and then wire it through to the driver. But I'm about to get that all into the housing because I got to mount the driver to the housing. So I got that done over here. You know, up close. Okay, it turned out pretty good. All the epoxy is drying. I got the 5-minute epoxy, but it's 5 minutes to set, but an hour to cure. So I just let it cure overnight and deal with it tomorrow. It's getting too late right now. Alright, so let's plug these babies in and see how it works. Oh yeah, look at that. You know, the LEDs for the headlights are much brighter than the ones I made. Mine just kind of glow and have a little, you know, hint of color and straight on. I think in an angle it looked good. It's not as bright as Remy's. Remy had, you know, he had 25 LEDs for each one of these little strips, so his, you know, glowed a lot brighter. But mine, I'm pretty happy for the amount of effort I put into it and how it turned out. It looks really cool from the sides and the angles, but not straight on is not as bright. But yeah, overall I'm good with these. Guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end here. I'm glad you know everything worked out the way I planned it to on these DRLs. If you guys like this video, just don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and you know, I've got this week I'm gonna be out. I've got some meetings in DC for work, and then I've got my annual ski trip next week to Salt Lake, so I'm probably won't be posting anything on the headlights until after I get back from vacation. I'm gonna just, you know, it's late right now. I'm gonna get everything put back together, and not put back together, but just put away so I could deal with this stuff when I get back. I'll probably post some other non-headlight related videos between now and then. I've already got the footage for that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.